you for tuning in with Dr. Leisha the Preacher. Okay. I hope you all are doing well, feeling well, getting ready for, well, I live in um, the northern part of the states in North America. So it's nighttime here. I think it's almost 9 o'clock, close to 9 o'clock here. Please click like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on your way in, please. Thank you so much. But yeah, I'm the kind of mother. Once Most High he asked me in my spirit, in my heart, in my soul, he asked me to have my daughter, my, first child, which happens to be a girl. So, because I grew up as a child and going through my teenage years, and I even entered my very first marriage at age 20, I entered that marriage with a clear understanding that we were not going to have children. I was not going to give birth to kids. So, if you want kids, then I'm not the one. you know, I think he already had some kids out there anyway. you know, he already had some kids out there anyway, but you know, not officially, not officially, but you know, I had heard some stuff. But I made it very clear that I never wanted kids. I didn't think I didn't see how I could be a good mom. I just didn't see it. I mean, even as a little girl, even I used to play house and have dolls and I did girl stuff, but I still didn't want to have no kids. So I knew what the responsibility was. I was the older sister in the house. And so if you're an older sister, give a shout out to the older sisters. Please click like, subscribe as you enter in, please. I see I have at least 18 people that it show. So usually when I see that number, whatever number I see, it's usually far more than that. Well, please click like, subscribe, hit the notification bell on your way in. Thank you so much. And hello to you. Is it Amzi? Hi, Amzi. Thank you for being here and commenting. So yeah, you know, I didn't think that I had the capacity to be a good mother, you know. Um, as a young girl, I was a little bit of a brainiac, but not the kind, okay, I was the kind of kid that I was a smart kid, but not the kind of smart compared to the traditional way that we measure smart. I knew I was smart in a different way. You know what I mean? Like I was the kind of smart that had no desire to get straight A's. I didn't want to get straight A's. Why waste my energy memorizing other people's crap? I'd rather create my own crap and sell it. As a little kid, that's how I felt. Why am I going to waste my time memorizing, trying to figure out what somebody else thought of, you know? And then if I don't memorize this stuff, then I won't get an A. It's like, are you kidding me? Mm. So I was frustrated as a kid because I just felt like the education system did not make sense. It just didn't make sense. Why can't I enter kindergarten creating my own world off the rip? I should have spent kindergarten through 12th grade building my own empire. So by the time I'm hit the legal age, I'm a millionaire. I'm ready to launch my $1 million business. Why not? Some people claim that the moment you're born, you're worth $1 million at birth. That's just something I heard. I researched everything, but that's not something I actually researched. I just heard it, through the grapevine, generationally though, a generational grapevine. But anyway, so so I didn't think I needed to go Google it, but if you guys want to, go ahead. Let me look at some of the comments. Hi, hello. Say my name. Okay, Lillian Razzo. Hey, Lillian Razzo. Lillian, hey, Lillian Razzo. Thank you for being here. Hi. So yeah. So I'm like, from the moment a child enters the education system, they should be building their own signature, their fingerprint, footprint, their birth certificate should be. You're born independent. You're born with your own number, your own identity. From birth, we're our own tree from birth. You know what I mean? We're like a little sprout out the ground, you know, if we want to speak in terms of nature. So the school system fails us by not preparing us to be completely independent legally of our parents. We should have housing the moment we finish high school. We should be, we should already be set up. That's already how many years of your life that you've been educated? Before you even get to kindergarten, your parents have taught you the basics. The basics is how to eat, walk, talk, feed yourself, whatever you're physically able to do for yourself, that is your baseline. Each individual person, footprint, fingerprint, tree, sprout, you know what I'm saying? We're ready at birth to go. We're ready at birth. Now, do we need some help? Yeah. So the first few, from birth until we hit the school system, we're educated by our parents. We're educated by our own parents. That's the if you don't get any formal education, you have enough from your parents to just breathe, bathe yourself, even work. I'm just saying, I'm not saying kids that young should be working. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying your parents is the foundation. That's your walking, talking papers. Your parents are your walking, talking papers. The education system is there to build your empire. By the time the education system release you, you should be done. You should be a millionaire right off the rip, legally. They release you at that point. Be that tree, be the tree. We need to do this thing differently. By the time I was 18, guys, I was really grown already. The only reason why I wasn't grown, because all the grown people was telling me I wasn't. That's the only reason. The only reason why I was not grown enough at 18 is because the people around me told me I wasn't. The only reason. At 18, I was ready to be a real estate giant. At 18. My grandfather, when I was 18, my grandfather owned 9 homes. 9 homes. He taught my granddaddy raised me up in these homes, fixing them up, collecting rent, all of that. And then I had a formal education for 12 years or however long. Why did I need to go to college? For what? Me personally, as an individual, my print, college held me back. College made me feel like I had to get a husband. For what? Well, I mean, I didn't have a problem getting a husband. I don't have a problem having a husband, but why did I feel pressure to do it in college? I really shouldn't have went to college. I'm just being honest. But my family wasn't set up to pass generational wealth, legacy, business to me. It was nothing handed to me, you know, although I was raised up in it. I was raised up in the family business. The family business of, you know, owning properties and renting them out and going to collect the rent. I even did that for my mom. So I served two generations of, understanding property management, but yet I have to go to college for pharmacy. But I mean, at 13, I worked at the local drugstore. So at age 13, I'm working in a local drugstore, you know, and then I go to college for pharmacy, but then I switch to environmental health, industrial, management kind of stuff like OSHA, health and safety, kind of stuff. The right to know things. You hear me? The right to know. That's the kind of person I am. So anyway, going back to being a mom. So I'm the kind of mom that want to live practicing what I preach and preach what I practice. And I want to put my belief and faith in action. So as I raised my children in a family business that my first husband and I are co-founders of, our girls and their other sisters, there's, other sisters, he has other children with his second wife. They all grew up together in that family business. You know what I'm saying? So I want to be able to. He and I are divorced, so the business with him, and that's where all the money and the business with him. And it's a 30-year-old business. A 30-year-old business. I think it's valued $1 million or whatever. But at the end of the day, I didn't get any of that. But so, but my daughter deserves it. Forget about me. I divorced him. But my daughter deserves. She was 11 years old, and she could. The family business is auto window tinting. We do commercial properties, boats, like yachts and stuff. My daughter can tint windows on yachts. She can do commercial buildings. She can do any automobile. And she's been doing it since she was 11. And she recently was working for Penske wrapping clear shield on cars. Like those really expensive, expensive cars, custom made cars, special ordered cars and all that. She was one of the workers who put that clear shield all around the car. And my daughter's 31 and she's a beast. Okay. So we're about to start entering these auto window tinting competitions throughout the country. I think the next one is in Texas. The one in 2026 is in Texas. So anyway, so that's one of those unusual things in my life. So yeah, I want to pass the torch of the family legacy to my daughter by entering these competitions. She no longer really tint windows. She and her dad fell out. He's not going to pass the business over in a smooth way, the way I would do it. So we're going to just recreate it in our own way. And that's another story. But yeah, but I want to, I'm on YouTube recreating, rebuilding my life from two horrible divorces that left me, just out here, what I mean, fending for myself. And you know, for my, reasons too. I made poor choices. I put the whole marriage and kids and everything before myself. I put myself in the position of being a doormat and a placeholder and, just easy to be left. You know what I mean? That's the kind of mother I am. I'd rather be a poor mom and there for my kid than to be a rich mom who never can see them. Just throwing money at 'em. It's like where I come from is one or the other. It's really difficult to balance it out. So I chose to just be the poor mom and let these rich men just pay the bills. And I knew I was gonna get dumped and replaced or whatever, but at least I was there for the kids, you know? I was there for them. Now being there for them is not enough when the fathers are just running around with women and throwing money out the window. You know what I'm saying? So no matter how much I was there, I can't be the men. I can't compensate for what they don't do, you know? And I have room and reason and respect, you know, to make mistakes. Everybody make mistakes. So it's not even about the mistakes I make. I went above and beyond, you know? I chose to be poor when I have a PhD to make sure that I know what my kids are doing and who they with, even if it's not too much more than I can do than that. But at least I know my kids. And can't nobody tell me that age 18 is it. No, I'm one of those cradle to the grave type of mothers. Cradle to the grave, and I mean it. I mean it. If it means I have to be poor as dirt, so what? I'm gonna be there. Oh, let me get to the comments. I'm sorry. Hi. Let me catch up. Hello. Hi, sister of the brethren. Oh, I'm a sister of the brethren. Thank you. Yay. It feels good to be acknowledged. I appreciate it. Hi. Oh, that is so sweet. It's always nice to have comments and things. Yeah, so that's the kind of mother I am, you know. And it is what it is. So, with all that being said, based on all this stuff that I see going on in the entertainment industry and on my channel, I do a lot of remix short videos, covering all the drama and stuff that the celebrities experience and that my own personal life I've experienced. And in the Bible is filled with all. I think that's where we get most of these ideas from. If we didn't read the Bible, I don't think we would get all these ideas. I'm not saying don't read the Bible, guys. I'm not saying don't do that. But I was like, in elementary school reading the Bible though. Can you imagine being 9 years old, reading about Abraham and Sarah, and then the 12 tribes of Israel and Jacob and Tamar and the twins and whew, that was dramatic. I was 9. Once I picked that Bible up, I mean, I was reading it before 9, but 9 is when my mind opened up to it. Mind is when I jumped into the pages and became the people. I became the people that I was reading. I could, like feel them, see them, visualize. You know what I'm saying? Like motion pictures. Think about it. The stuff I see on TV, I can go right to the Bible and point it out. Yeah, that was in the Bible. That was in the Bible. Most of the stuff that we go through in our lives, whether you poor or rich, you can find it in the Bible. Open up that Bible and you will find yourself. I've been doing that since I was 9 years old. No matter what I'm going through, I can open up that Bible and find a story that sounds something like it. Just to get comfort, ideas, or, it's therapeutic. It's no different than when you go to therapy and they say, "So, what can I do for you today? What do you need to?" for me, you know, and then you just start talking and they listen, you know. So it's no different than just opening up the Bible and reading somebody else's situation that's kind of like yours. And you're in conversation with yourself. The Bible puts you in conversation about yourself with a similar situation. So whenever I have an issue in my life, I go find a similar story in the Bible, you know. So to me, I'm in my Samaritan woman mode. You know what I mean? That's like the era I'm in. I've had two legal husbands and I'm done. I tap out. She went up to five and was working on number six. I tap out at two. Okay. Now, even though I say that on my videos often, I always obey Most High. So if Most High say, you know, for whatever biblical and legal reasons, because I at this point I can only afford to live biblically and legally. That's it. That's it. You know, like based on my age, my experience, and just my contracts, my spiritual contracts, my earthly contracts, my debt, spiritual debt, earthly debt, just based on, the cards left in my hand, you know, like at the very end of a spades game. Y'all know those who play spades. At the very end of the spades game, you only got like maybe like four, 3 or 4 more rounds to go. Hands to play, you know, cards to throw out. So, you gotta like use a little wisdom, sharpen up yourself, pay a little more closer attention to the cards that are being played and even kind of like trying to remember what cards already been played. And, that's where I'm at right now. Reflecting on, what's been already played out there. Um, you know, what I think is left in everybody else's hand. Um, how we gonna win it at this point. And so based on what I see in the entertainment industry, the way the management and between the people who pay, like the producers, the entertainment industry funders, the shareholders and all those people, the owners of the entertainment industry, all of it, the whole thing, from top to the bottom, east to west. So the way they treat each other, the owners and the entertainers, whether it's sports, music, dance, just the whole spectrum, the entertainment industry, the way they treat each other. I'd rather just let the state that I live in oversee all of our accounts, between the county, the city. They can keep their books balanced, make sure, we're paid. You know what I mean? Make sure we're paid. Make sure, that way, our property, get all y'all money. Pay whatever property taxes y'all want to get, whatever y'all, expenses need to be paid. Pay us. And what we get is ours. We keep it, enjoy it. And we don't have to owe nobody nothing. We can just go buy whatever cars we want for cash. You know what I'm saying? Because we won't have all these bills. Get your electricity, get your gas, state, county, city, township, all y'all. Get y'all money, throw the rest of the change toward us, and what we catch is ours to go do what we want. And we ain't got to pay nobody nothing else. You know what I'm saying? When can we get to that point? I like the idea of Trump saying, let me handle my business and I'll throw y'all $2,000 when I get some. Next time it might be 10. Next time it might be $1 million I throw y'all away. Let me just get up here and fight all this shit out and iron it out and I'll throw money y'all way. Okay. Just keep throwing it. You know what I'm saying? Keep throwing it, throwing it. But in the meantime, let me keep everything I have. Let me keep everything that I've earned. Don't take nothing away from me that I've already earned as you throw whatever future money coming. And then I continue to get what I'm gonna get and do what I'm gonna do. And I won't owe nobody nothing. When you don't owe the government, you treat your brother better. You treat your sister better when you don't owe the government. Think about payday. Payday is like the happiest day and maybe the day after. Then after that, the money's gone. Life goes back to normal, you know. But when payday hit, ooh, you know. So what if it was always payday? What if it was just always payday? Bills were just always paid. All you got to do is just live and enjoy what you've earned without the threat of it being repossessed, taken, any of that. Well, that's why I propose that we consider allowing our state, counties, cities, townships, wherever we're living, you know, that they are the ones that oversee generationally, generationally, because once we earn it, we won't lose it, right? Once you earn it, you won't lose it. So automatically, what I get automatically rolled down to my kid. They ain't got to kill me over it. You know what I mean? Not that my kids are trying to kill me over the thing. I'm just saying, but I'm just saying they don't have to sweat me over it, trip about it. I don't have to um, gamble away, risk gambling away, and don't leave them nothing. And then they begging for bread because I ain't had nothing to offer. And when they're 18, after all that education that's been put in them, they don't have nothing when they start. So if parents don't roll something over and you don't have nothing when you start, then it's like, well, dang. Each generation is like a fresh start. Each generation is a fresh start. Well, where does generational wealth come in? Where does inheritance come in? Like, I like it at the end of each work year when employers let you roll over all your benefits that you didn't use from the last year. Don't you like that better than when they just say, oh, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't use it, you lose it. Which one is better? You don't use it, you lose it, or it rolls over if you don't use it. It'll still be there for you. We need to treat our children like that, generationally. Everything we have, everything we earn cannot be lost, and it can just roll over to the next generation. Let's stop resetting and restarting each generation. Who can afford that? And then we bash each other and mock each other for those who can't flip the soil that fast, can't till the ground that hard, or whatever the language is. I'm not a farmer, y'all. You don't have enough mules, you know what I'm saying? You know, not enough children, offspring, not enough jobs in your community compared to others, not enough men in a community Maybe not enough women in that community. You see, there's so many factors and things that need to be considered. So and I'm claiming it, I'm using the word when instead of if, when I become generationally wealthy, I don't want to be wealthy on my own. If wealth come my way, it has to hit and roll generationally. What is a stake for me today when my kids are homeless tomorrow? It makes no sense. Not to me. Now I know the world we live in. Hey, says God bless the child that has his own, that has his own. Well, you know what? That's a very depressing way to live. Is it nice to have your own? Yeah, it is nice to have your own. But it's nice when we have it together. It is nice when we have it together. When me and my children and my grandchildren and my great great grandchildren, when we can have our own for generations to come. God bless all the children born into generational wealth and inheritance without the risk of losing it to the government or to greedy neighbors, greedy employers, you know, greedy merchants. As long as we don't lose what we earn, let the government throw what they want when they want to. As long as we can keep what we got, don't take away what I have. Let me keep all my houses, keep all my money, whatever I've currently earned, my electricity, water, whatever I got, I've earned it. Don't let me lose it. The new roads in the front of my house, new piping in the streets and stuff, let us keep all of this, you know, and allow us to improve it. Improve it. See, that's how we stay in business. Is is improving each generation, keeping everything fresh. That's how we stay in business. That's how the government can keep running itself because we, the people, need to maintain what we have without losing it. So if the government wants to be, responsible for overseeing the projects that require, like, I love having all these men out in front of my house, putting new roads and plumbing and out there. That's wonderful. I hope they're paid good money, you know. Yeah. And I don't want to lose any of this. And I want it to be maintained. And I want it to be maintained for myself and for my grandkids and for my great grandkids. So the government, yes, any money that I make outside of this state, any money that's made outside of the state has to come through my state. It has to come through here. And they're going to get their money and then they'll throw it my way. Whatever's left, throw it my way. And then I can maintain and generationally, we can maintain what we build here. So if we want to open up, several family businesses and stuff, we can, keep the community growing and building, you know, while we're generating income outside the state. So it's just an idea. I'm just a little poor, broke mom who's been dumped twice and they ran off and married other women. and I have the kids and the grandkids, and I have to make something with us. I'm not going to let myself and two generations just fall by the wayside because the men that married me decided to run off and marry other women, you know? So, yeah, I'm the one that physically left the first marriage, but he was never mine. He was never mine, ever. I never had him to myself, ever. And, I don't even know what that feels like to have a husband, a legal husband of 32 years, between two husbands, 32 years. I have no idea what it feels like to be the only one in mind, heart, spirit. You know, I have no idea. And I'm done now, so I will never know. I will never know what it's like to be married, the only one, valued. You know, neither husband ever gave me a birthday party. 32 years in marriage, never had a birthday party. And some people say, oh, girl, that ain't no big deal. At least your nappy head was provided for. At least your nappy head had something to eat. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Thank you. So, you know, so I can't wait to give myself a birthday party. I'm 56. My last birthday party was at age 13. The last time I had a birthday party where, I had friends over, a bunch of people, like at a hall or, I've never had like a party at a hall or, you know, I've just never had a big party at all. I've had, I don't know, one of these days, I just want to have a big, like, rental hall space or something. And I just want it to be all themed up with all these things, all these all the stuff that I've accomplished. I want all my accomplishments to be displayed because I have so many accomplishment guys, so many, and no one knows. And it's not about anyone knowing really, but it would just be nice to have a birthday party where I can just put myself on display. It would just be nice versus just being the woman who was never really loved the right way and raised kids and grandkids and gave them all she had and just died. I don't want to be another one of them. I cried when I saw that scene in that Tyler Perry movie. I'm sure most people cried that watched it. When the grandmother was dead on the bus and nobody knew. I think she was dead for days and no one knew. No one noticed. And I'm one of those kind of women. I already know. I only have two kids and I have eight grandchildren, but seven of the eight are boys. Seven grandsons, okay? You're listening to a grandmother who has seven grandsons, okay? So do I need to get married again? No, 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 no. I take my one grandson to work every day, well, the days that he worked, I take him to work and pick him up. I share that responsibility with his dad. But because his dad worked, he's a single dad. So because his dad works, I help with getting the kids, around. So, and I take pride in doing that. But next year, when I have to get a job and be independent for the first time in my life, I've never had to be independent before. I'm gonna have to stop doing all that for my grandkids. My independence for the first time comes at the cost of not being there for my grandkids. And that's gonna hurt, you know. It's gonna hurt a lot because I don't know life any other way. I don't know life without being there for my kids and grandkids. I can't even imagine it. I can't even imagine it. And I keep putting it off and putting it off, you know. So I'll probably end up living in a project somewhere with a PhD, you know, and that's okay. I'm all right with it. If that means I can walk my grandson to the bus every morning, I'd rather walk my grandson to the bus and live in the projects than to work for corporate America and they treat me like I'm crap. I'm sorry. That's my choice. And if I die, just another old black woman that's broke in the project somewhere because she loved her kids and grandkids because no one else was there. So be it. So be it. I'll just ride on that city bus around and around and around and around. And it is what it is. But I'll be damned if I get married again and give a man all that I got and he just run off and give it to another woman. I'll be damned. When I got 7 grandsons where I can pray over them in the Holy Spirit that they'll treat women better. Instead of giving them a third example, I'd rather be single and solo and be there for them, drive them back and forth to work. If I have to walk them to school, whatever I got to do, I'll do it. I'll do it. I don't care if I have a, a PhD or GED or no education at all. My granddaddy didn't even finish school and he had a pension. He owned a gas station. He had 9 rental properties. You don't even need to go to school. I'm not saying don't. I'm not saying don't, guys. Go to school, all right? I have a PhD. Education obviously is important to me, but you don't need one to be a good person. You don't need one to have own a business. You don't need one to, take care of your wives and kids. You don't need one for basic stuff to wipe your butt. I'm just saying. All right, guys. But yeah, that's the kind of mom I am. I don't even want wealth unless it can be generationally. And you may call me mentally ill, you know, she's just another, poor black woman and can't pay her to live better. Okay, fine. Whatever. I just want to be there for my kids. And I don't care if we're poor or rich. I want to be there. And I'm going to make the necessary sacrifices because remember what I said? I believe that first child, God asked me to have her. He asked me. He asked me to have her. I had no desire to be a mother. I didn't think I could be a good one. And because I'm not financially independent, I'm probably not a good one because I don't have financial independence. And we'll probably end up living on the government because both my husbands are married to other women. There's nothing I can do about that. And people say I deserve it because I'm old, black, and ugly. Because I'm old, black, and ugly. I deserve for men that ask me to marry them to run off to be with other women? Really? Okay. So be it. That means I can't win coming or going. I can't win. So I tap out. Done. I'd rather just be poor and make sure my kids, get my best. Because I can't make up for what other people aren't doing. There's nothing I can do about that. You all be blessed. And thank you so much for what community you're talking about. I live in Michigan. I live in the United States and I live in the north part in Michigan. It's not that popular. Right now, New York is the popular place, and Chicago, it's popular. I don't know, Michigan, we kind of up there. We are kind of up there, but I think the other two states up here, we're like three states up here. It's Michigan, in the middle, and then you have Illinois and New York. So we're like the big three up at the top, you know. So, but I think they are more popular than we are, at least right now. You know, Detroit is the Michigan city, the main one. I don't live there, but I was born and raised there. I was born and raised in Detroit, East Side. All right, guys, you all have a great night. I guess I better go ahead and clock out. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate you. Click like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I am not monetized anywhere on social media. I don't even know how. I don't know how. It just seemed like so much drama to get monetized, and then it seems like it's even more drama to keep the money that they want to demonetize you every chance they get. So I don't even know if it's worth trying. I don't know. So but I just like being on here regardless. So yeah, you all be blessed. And but if you want to just, be a blessing to me, that'll be great. My PayPal. I'll be off in 2 seconds, daughter. My PayPal is Dr. Leisha, the preacher, just like my channel. You all have a great night.